Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. This one is dated year 2 blog 37, or in legacy numbers blog 89, and it is dated 5th of November 2023. And this one's a very special blog because, to be quite honest, this is the first time I've ever recorded a blog on the day before the date that I've ever read out. And there's a very special reason for that. On the 5th, which is tomorrow, or for you it's today if you're watching this on the day I publish it, there is a special charity event going on, which I'm involved with. Yes, Mainmeister, a person, a name that you've must have heard a million times in my blogs, and a very, very special close friend, has decided to do a second charity stream. And these charity streams are 12 hours long or more. Generally, they go from 8 o'clock till 8 o'clock. They involve special guests, and Mainmeister is there for its entirety. He likes to have a person to help him. You know, it's a mammoth task. There are times where people need to take a break, go to the toilet, whatever. You need a person that can look things up, just in case there's a question that comes up and it just needs a reference looking back to. And this was masterfully done several years ago by a mutual friend, Panther, who wasn't available this time. And I was asked to step in, and I gladly agreed. It's daunting. And for a long time, I wondered how it was going to work. Anybody that knows my blogs know that I am a carer for my mother. My mother needs shopping. She needs paper, the papers in the morning. She needs to go to the toilet in this room. She needs to, all sorts of things. And I'm going to be out of her life for 12 hours. And that's sort of unheard of since the pandemic. Where I was going off to work and I was doing that on a regular basis. So I decided that I would take some time off work Friday and Monday. I would prep my blog on Friday, record it on the Saturday, and spend the 12 hours on Sunday with Mainmeister, and hopefully get some sleep on Monday. Because although it doesn't seem like a lot of planning, a lot of effort and energy is used in those 12 hours. And then there is all my other stuff that I do on a normal basis. It's still really not known at the moment quite how I'm going to handle the mother situation. But I'm pretty sure it's handleable, and I'll be able to do all the duties. That's my intention. I'm big on charities. I buy games where money goes to charity. I always put in for the Poppy Appeal. There is a charity at work, and some of my money comes out of my wages into that charity. Yeah. So to be asked to do something like this is brilliant. And it takes me back to where this all began. My first facial discussion talk was on that very charity stream last time, and literally within a year of that stream I had my own blog. So a lot of things to remember about that, and there will be a link in the description below because at the moment if you're watching this on the Sunday, you're missing it, and I wouldn't want that. I'd rather you come back to this and have a little look later on, because the charity stream is the most important thing this weekend as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to get on with the news, and then we'll talk a little bit about me and then do the normal stuff. So the news. Okay, so the war. And because we always mention the war. Putin's forces hit civilian targets in the Ukraine as Russia starts to lose control of the Black Sea. Drones hit civilians near the Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, Kharkiv's mayor says fires are under control, but did not mention how many casualty numbers there were at that particular time. Meanwhile, Mr. Zelensky reported that sea battles had Russia in retreat in the Black Sea to the eastern part of the waters. So that was the news that I had as the latest report at the time of this recording. I'm sure there are lots more going on. It's a mixed bag, that particular report. In one way, I'm happy about the Black Sea situation because it means food can get out. The other side of things is about death, destruction, drones, civilian targets, which is always the sad part of everything. And so, as you know, I don't really have any opinions on this. My steadfast opinion is let's end this war. Russia was wrong to do what they're doing. Ukraine are quite right to want their territory. As far as I'm concerned, that's the opinion I have, and it's steadfast. And then we come to some UK news. Now, the trouble with the UK news is that I can concentrate on one story, but it's a bit bad that, so I've sort of bullet pointed it this time, and there's lots of little stories. So these are the things that have been in the papers and in the news, and has basically got everybody talking in the UK. There are many more stories, but these are the ones I highlighted. The Israeli conflict continues. So this started a couple of weeks ago and is still ongoing. More British nationals have left Gaza. So what's happening in that war is that there is a strip between leading to Egypt where casualties and normal public human beings that are trapped in the war side of this conflict can go through a strip of land that takes them to Egypt to safety. Great. I should think it's very distressing for them because it's done by bus and so forth, and you could be a target. It could be easily overtaken and seen as an easy target to get revenge. So I am concerned about those. Storm Kieran hits the south, and there is more rain to follow. So yes, in the middle of the week there was a storm, this time called Kieran, begins with C because the last one was Babette, B. So they all give them names by letters. It basically hit the south really hard, Jersey in particular, I believe. And we've now had yellow warnings today to tell that there's more rain to follow, and with the ground totally saturated, water will not drain. So basically, more flood warnings, and I can see this going on for a while. The COVID inquiry has started. Yes, I don't know if you remember, but during the whole of the COVID process, and with everybody saying, this is bad, this is good, glad this is happening, this is terrible, and the whole Partygate scandal, there was a specific inquiry that was going to happen after the COVID pandemic settled to find out whether the government were negligible for anything. And to be quite honest, it's gotten very ugly. Evidence has been portrayed. Text messages have been found in WhatsApps and all that sort of stuff. Scripts have been scrutinized, and it seems very much like certain people wanted less involvement with the public so they could concentrate on what to do with the epidemic. Certain departments had a legal right to be at these meetings, and it sounds like the politicians didn't want them there, tried to disband them, all sorts of stuff. Douglas Cummings is the biggest person that was probably there this week, although the Prime Minister has been, the former Prime Minister. And his was a damning piece of evidence. Lots of swearing, lots of bad language, lots of opinions, and you could see that this person was really coming from a hurtful place because he was sacked during the middle of it, breaking even COVID rules. So, yeah, not a great week for British politics. Again, never. I don't think there ever is a good week. And then today I've already seen on many mass media areas this morning warnings announced about media, across the media, for fireworks, which are today. Remember, this is Sunday, even though it's not. And all I can say to you is, please go to those displays if you want. Be careful if you're doing your own fireworks. Think again about doing that in the future. I know it's exciting, but fireworks are dangerous. Too many have been hurt or killed, and the NHS is already overrun with other cases going on. We're not out of COVID yet, and we're heading into a period of time where flu epidemics will be starting. The elderly are at risk. Your fireworks are scaring animals. All sorts of reasons why I think fireworks should be a display only. And even now they're looking at doing it differently, and by putting lights on drones and doing the similar sort of thing with drones in the air, which would be much more environmentally friendly. That was an interesting article I read this week. And the last part of the news is just a week ago, but you know, after my last blog, Matthew Perry died. He was 54 years old. A great actor, somebody that, because the TV show that made him an absolute hit, which was the character Chandler in Friends, from that moment on, he's been in a highlight. Now there was never any denial that he had drink and drug addictions, and he had many help, and he even became an advocate of drinking and drugs and coming off of them. So lots and lots of memorials, you know, from colleagues and fans alike have been remembering him this week. And today he was laid to rest in a private ceremony of only 20 mourners, most of which were his friends from the TV series Friends. I had a period of time where I reflected on some of the other stuff he did. Mr. Sunshine, a few films. Those come to mind. The Odd Couple was a TV series, short-lived return of that show. And very sad, too early, 54, very, very close to me. So it hits you hard and makes you think about life in a different way. And that gets rid of the news. Might as well do a little bit more about me. So yes, you know that there's the charity stream. I'm doing this blog today. This week has been a strange one. Work has been okay. Did a few things that I haven't done before. Or should I say, I've stretched my analytical skills more, but it's the same work that I always did. So really what I'm saying is I'm going back to doing something a bit more complex, you know, VLOOKUPs, HLOOKUPs, XLOOKUPs in Excel, looking for duplicates, highlighting them, changing them in the database, all sorts of stuff, which is daunting, but at the same time wonderful, because it takes me out of the norm of just doing normal stuff. So that was good. Still getting used to my phone. As you know, I mentioned last week about this new phone of mine. It's a fold, so it's more like a tablet. And I really do need to get to these other two phones, these older phones of mine, and start moving the data across that I use on a daily basis, and move the ones that were on an older basis across to the oldest phone, so because it doesn't necessarily have to be on my new phone, and then basically wear the battery down on the oldest phone and put it back in its box. I've kept all of my phones from the moment I got my first one. I've still got them boxed. I could display them. Some people would think, why have you kept them? It's a bit of history. It's a bit of, oh my God, look at the different phones and look at the different styles that I've gone through. And I like to sometimes go back to them. I try to keep things in pristine condition. I've only ever dropped and cracked a phone once, and that was handing it to my dad. Handed it to him and it fell out of his hand, went on the ground, crack. But it was in its first year of warranty, so he got it replaced. But that was fun. I remember that. That's a nice, happy memory for me. And so, yeah, you could count me as a bit of a hoarder, but I've never strayed away from saying that I'm not. Do you see what I mean? The most expensive thing that's happened to me this week has been my upgrade of the VR headset. Now, many people will know, and I haven't talked about it, though, for a long time, is I had a Oculus 2, which was renamed the Meta 2 after a while. I used it mostly for watching 3D films. I won't say I played a lot of games on it, but a lot of games were played. But I loved the fact that I didn't, after my plasma screen, which was 3D, was moved upstairs, I still had the ability to watch my 3D films in VR. And you could do it in several ways. You could do it in you've got a virtual room environment where you can sit on the couch and you can move to different positions on your couch. So you can be dead center or to the right or to the left. The speaker system is all set up for you. And basically you can watch your films in 2D or you can watch them in 3D. And to be quite honest, it's a lovely experience in either, especially if you've got a high bit rate version of the film to watch. But although remembering a higher bit rate film takes up much more space and therefore will reduce the amount of space you've got on your PC where you're streaming it from, or from the headset if you copy it across. I generally copy them across, watch them, delete them. I've got a store of these films. It's in my NAS enclosures that are over here out of sight of the camera. So I could stream them if I wanted. Like I say, the VR headset is not for everybody. And I will come back to it if we've got time at the end, just to show you the difference between a Meta 3 and an Oculus 2. I've only had it a couple of days. It is set up. I've played some games. I've watched one film. And oh my God, yes, there's a difference in quality. And it's a huge one. So watch this space towards the end. Let's do the shout outs now. And remembering we're doing this a day early, comments usually come in over 7 days. So we're cutting off early. And I dare say the majority of my comments come in on the Saturday. I've never really checked that, but there are far less comments this time, therefore far less questions. And therefore I think that this stream will be much shorter today. So the shout-outs go to Martroid, Paul Patrick, Denny Haynes, Gaming Since the 70s, David Retro Games Played Badly. And that's it. Now, it may seem like, wow, that's a very short amount. But actually, I'm getting the same amount of views, which is brilliant. I'm getting the same amount of sort of like feedback, which is good. And this is early. And as I said, some comments come in very, very late, ready for me to do my recording on the Sunday. So for those people, I apologize. This has had to be done this way. And we're back to normal next week. So if you do put any comments in the meantime of this recording, all the way to the point of it being broadcast, it'll be in the next one. I'll make sure of that. So now we move to the questions. And I'll just take a sip of a drink now. Just to make it look like it's a Sunday, I've got my orange juice. Thank you very much. Product placement. Lovely. And we'll move into these questions. Like I say, there aren't going to be that many. So the first one at the top of the list is Martroid. And he put, I had to add another great selection of film pickups there, Del. I do remember enjoying Ghost Dog back in the day, a great film. It has to be said. I still haven't seen either of those Meg films, but they look kind of fun. Finally, that phone looks freaking amazing. Well done, mate. Oh, well, thanks very much. I'm actually enjoying the phone a little bit. I'm not using it that much because of work and, other commitments. But when I do use it, the screen is bright. It's enjoyable. The bigger screen really helps with watching some of the things on the go. Some of your video streams and stuff are watched only on YouTube on my phone. The speakers are really, really good. So thank you very much. Yeah, it's actually very nice. It's not £1,900 nice. Believe me, I'm not happy with the phone industry, and I haven't been for a long time. But we talked about that last week, so we'll move on. We next get to Paul Patrick. Another top blog down. Looking forward to Mainmeister's charity stream next week, which I'm sure you'll help to run smoothly. Your new phone looks mint. I enjoyed hearing you chat about Coventry. My uncle was a Coventry City fan, having worked in the city for many years. They had some great players in the 80s and 90s. Gary McAllister was a great midfielder for Coventry in his first spell in the mid-90s, before having a great Indian summer at Liverpool, helping mentor a young Steven Gerrard. Phil Babb was a terrific centre-half who got his big move to Liverpool on the back of his performance at Coventry and Ireland. Robbie Keane had a good spell at Coventry, and Mickey Quinn scored a memorable hat-trick at Highbury on the opening day of the EPL season in 93-94. Peter Nitschkov was a super exciting, speedy winger forward who scored a hat-trick at Anfield against Liverpool, which not too many players have done in their careers. Yes, I mean, how could I turn around and not have an answer to all of that? It was very difficult and on the fly to think of players. All of those ones do come to mind, Robbie Keane in particular. And of course, I went to the FA Cup, in the 80s against Tottenham. What a day I had then. Brilliant. I could have named just the squad there. I said, look, here's the squad. This is the team that you want to have. But lightning in a bottle comes to mind, and the stars just aligned, and what a day. And it got rid of that awful card that was in Trivial Pursuit. Which of these four teams have never won the FA Cup? And Coventry was always in it, because they never had been, and they were a top flight club for so many years. It was one of the longest running in the Premiership, Coventry's. From the time they moved up when my dad was courting my mum to the point that they dropped in the 2000s. So a huge amount of time in the Premiership. And that was my main bulk of me watching football. Okay, so you end then. Did you like two-tone ska music? The Specials' Ghost Town was one of the most memorable songs of the 80s. Now, I've talked about the music before, and it was one of those things where I wanted to fit in at secondary school, and I moved up to secondary school in the 80s, very early. Ant music was very big, as was the flourishing career of Blondie, the starting career of synth music, Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, The Police. I could name a number. And just like Bad Manners, the Specials was another great one because it had this very eerie tone to it. I'm not into reggae, and I do know that ska mixes with reggae an awful lot. But that particular tone of the music in there, forget the words for a moment, you could just listen to that background music while driving through your own town at night at 2 a.m. And if you listen to that, it's eerie. And oh my God, it just fits. It fits every town in the whole of England. That tune, that that late in the morning, that early in the morning or at night. Just spooky. Nobody's around, all the cars are stopped, and you've got this very, very melodic, slow-paced tune with lots of brass instruments, which generally tend to be in ska music. So yes, you've hit one right on the top of the nail, and is one of my favourites. I don't have too many favourites of that. It would be mostly Bad Manners, but the specials will always hold a lovely place in my heart, really, for that tune alone. I played it a lot. Oh, so much. And it's in my car now. Take it like this. How can you not give praise to something by not having it in your car and listening to it even now, this many years on? So, thank you so much for that question. Brilliant. And a lovely memory for you to bring back for me. Martroid come back again. It makes sense now. I think this was his first comment. It says, wow, the plank. I remember thinking Eric Sykes was a comic genius when I saw that as a kid. Rhubarb was the other one of his I loved, although it must be 30 to 40 years since I've seen it. I still find myself on occasion gibbering rhubarb. Yeah, because that was the only word that was in it, wasn't it? Where the other one was silent. The other one, when you heard people speaking, they just went rhubarb. Mental, really, when you think about it. I'm also keen to hear about your new views on Iron Maiden. For what it's worth, my favourites are Killers, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, and their ultimate masterpiece, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Up the irons. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Gonna have to bring it forward. It was on my regular chats with Rock God, and his passion for Iron Maiden that got me into it. He kept bringing it up over and over again, and I happened to admit to him, I said, I'm sorry, it's one of the genres that I just basically have very little interest in. And it's a shame because even my other top friend, Mainmeister, loves heavy rock. And the only things I ever listened to were things like Marillion and, like Kaylee and We Built This City and, by other artists, and Heart, Alone and These Dreams. And, outside of that, I found it to be head-thrashing, noisy crap is probably a word I shouldn't use. But it's how I felt at the time. This is a warts and all blog. So I have to turn around and say how I was feeling at the time. And it just went, not into that. You can't hear the words. The music's just noise. Very difficult to know what note anybody's playing. Is that an E? Is that an F? How the hell? What? But I've always turned around and said, never say never. I need to get rid of the past where something stopped me from listening to it. Go back to it and see if I've got a new appreciation of it. I told Rock God this, and he turned around and went, I doubt you'll like it. And I went, hey, you may be surprised. There was a lot of things that have surprised me through the years. Even an artist that I appreciate, like Elton John, has had rap tunes made of his music. Indian Sunset, I think, was one. So you've got to turn around and say never. And I bought for just over £70 their album set in a tin, and it's still sitting back there for me to open and listen. And I'm daunted a little bit because I know nothing, absolutely nothing. People can mention band names and I'll be going, ooh. Something that just totally wiped off of history. No, it was never there for me. I hope that might excite other people, because I can start talking about it and you can start going, oh, wow, he's got to that period, has he? Yeah, right, he's going to like this bit. And I thought that it would also help me with conversations with Mainmeister and Rock God later on. I mean, in other words, how could I lose? The only thing I could lose was the money I spent on the albums. So, yes, looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Martroy, for both of your comments. And I myself will write those names down of those tracks and take them into consideration when I get to them, although I do intend to play from the beginning to the end. I like to see if there is a change in direction in their music from album to album, which I'm sure there is. We get to Seb's place. So he's stated, listen to you in the car this week. Actually worked well without the visuals. Makes a good podcast. Anyway, great as always, Del. Becoming a staple of my week. Oh, well, I'm so glad to hear that. Like I said, it's a ditto for me, because I tell you what, ever since you did that Whizball video, can't stop not looking to see what you've come out with this week. And they're all very high production videos. Put mine to shame. I do a blog and I try to tinker here and there with things, but not to your extent. And what you did this week, which I'll talk about later, brilliant. Absolutely riveting from beginning to end. Well done, matey. So then we move to David's retro gaming played badly. He's stated, as usual, keeping me company at work. Not watched the new Star Wars. Never thought I would say this, but I'm fairly sure I'm done with it. Just a Disney money machine. The plank is wonderful, a definite classic. Definitely sensible soccer. Any other answer is wrong. I do love the forwardness of David, where it's my world and you're just living in it, like William Shatner. R.E. Stranger's Wrath. It was my personal answer to the crossbow question, an all-time favourite. Yes, I'm sorry that I forgot. It was just out of context. You can't remember the week before. Somebody's mentioned Stranger's Wrath. You can't think what that title is, and you're going, what the hell did that fit? It didn't say my favourite crossbow is. So, of course, I was going, what's that? And I was in an R in, trying to remember, and I just couldn't. So thanks for pointing that out. Gave up on the Meg 2 after 10 minutes. Dreadful film. Yes, I've heard bad things. For me, though, I will always go into it with an open mind. Watch it for the popcorn film that I think it is. Watch it from it's so bad it must be good, in places at least. Even if it's just thank God the titles are coming up. So we'll see. As ever, mate, love the trailers. Great. That seems to be the bit that I like as well, is showing you what I'm going to be watching this week. But what I have noticed is I don't review movies. I don't open them, say who's in them, who did the soundtrack, who directed them, who's in it, what I thought about it, what the narrative is like, a comparison between other films of this genre to this one, my own review of what the film was about with no spoilers or with spoilers, and then a conclusion. I haven't done that. Maybe it's something that I should do. Films being the second part of my blog, first always being computers and games. That's my number one. Films and soundtracks equals second, and Marvel comics third, or make it the fourth if you want to count soundtracks separately. So all I know is I'm well-rounded on everything. I used to be pin sharp on certain stuff, and it's rounded off now as my mind goes, which is why I'm doing this blog as well, is to get it all down before I forget it all. There won't be very long before I'm in a nursing home and somebody's wiping my arse. That's all I can say. And it won't be anybody living that knows me. I don't have a wife, no kiddies. I'm estranged from, my sister slightly. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go later than my mother. So, yeah, I'm going to be on my own. And it was one of the reasons why I try so hard, probably too hard, to make friends and to get, some of my information across to you guys, and hopefully meet up and become good friends. Every one of you that's written a comment, I class now as my friends. Simple as. So he now moved to Denny Haynes. Oh, I love Denny. He's very close to me. He's about as close as you can get to Main Meister for me. Rock God is, just under that, and so forth and so forth. All of them very dear. All of them contact me and have conversations with me. Less so the last 2 weeks. Very few calls. Very few how I use. More about preparation for stuff. Like the charity stream. The other stuff is more about get your ass in here for your chat. Or I start the conversation myself rather than them phoning me. So yeah, less so. It's becoming more and more apparent that loneliness has not gone away yet. Anyway, let's read out. Denny says let's as well get some liquid refreshment. Oh, lovely, So he says, hiya, mate. Hope you're well. Good luck with the stream with Alan today. Sadly, I can't even pop in and say hello as I'm at work for a 12-hour shift. So you're doing the 12-hour shift as well. Yeah, this one's going to be first one in a long time, matey. Sad news about Matthew Perry and the way he went, but he was a carbon copy of most actors when they have a drink and drugs story to tell when their career starts to go south. I think he actually had an addiction for drink and drug right at the beginning of Friends, and so probably at the beginning of his career. I will say it's a carbon copy what happened to him in regards to coming off of that and becoming an advocate about coming off of drink and drugs. Many actors get help from other actors, have private tuition, come off of it, relapse, go back in, rinse and repeat. It just hit me hard because how close of an age gap we have between himself and me, literally a year or so. Thanks for answering my question. The Twilight Zone was a very special film from the only era that could deliver quality with atmosphere, the 80s. My order for the stories would be firstly, so this is order of what you like. Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, John Lithgow's acting is probably the best acting lesson anyone can put forward to students in stress and terror. Absolutely incredible. I actually rate this higher than the original. Yeah, I was torn, if you remember rightly. I said, wow, they're both good. I probably have a soft spot for the Shatner one, but you can't get away from Mr. Lithgow. And he did his own movie on split personality. Look out for that one. It was an absolute brilliant film. Secondly is The Magical Kick the Can, an amazing story and heartwarming soundtrack. Yes, and I think I mentioned that all the way through. I said it can be looked at as very sentimental, but oh my God, what a lovely part of the film. Third is Time Out, about a man who is basically a bigot who has the role reversed on him. And lastly, right, so let's go back to that bigot one. Yeah, that's the one that had all the accidents in that went into court. I mentioned about bigotry. I mentioned that all of the stories were from the original Twilight Zone. Apart from the opener and closer, which was an interconnecting story with Dan Aykroyd. But I think I've always labelled that one fourth. Probably because the way I worded it last week was I've seen lots and lots of bigotry sections in anthology productions, and there are highs and lows to them, but I've seen so many that it's very difficult now to say what is the highlight. So yeah. Lastly, It's a Good Life, which is, in my eyes, a story of a child who is out of control, who finally learns the lesson of life to become a normal boy, a bit like Pinocchio. Yeah, I agree. Bill Mummy played that character in the original. How we handle our kids is important. How we grow up. It is a definite spoiled brat. And the supernatural twist just adds to it. Brilliant. I'm with you. I'm with you. The soundtrack, especially Kick the Can, is incredible. A definite goosebumps experience. I actually bought the CD of the original soundtrack. Yes, I've got the original CD of the soundtrack. Got it on vinyl, got it on CD, and I have an expanded score in digital format. I haven't got it in album format. I don't know if it's because it was bootleg or whether it's because I missed its release. Haven't really gone back to look because I haven't got it in a way. And I've always had the vinyl from day one when the film was released. I went out and got that the week it was released. So yeah, Jerry Goldsmith, just such a talented composer, sadly no longer with us. My Old Man Loves the Plank by Eric Sykes, although I think it's the original one from 1967 starring Tommy Cooper he finds the funniest. We are both massive fans of Tommy Cooper. The man just has the ability to make you laugh without saying anything. Even in his death live on stage, they were still laughing at him. The way he said he wanted to go. Yes, sad to hear about his demise, and we all watched it on TV of us of a certain age. Horrible to rewatch. I haven't gone back to it. In my eyes, I can see it all. Yes. I don't have flu jabs myself. We all have an inbuilt system that fights off infections or viruses, and currently I'm in good health. I only had the flu twice. Once when I was 21 in 1988, when it took me off my feet, and swine flu in 2015, when I was really, really poorly. COVID jabs are a total no-go now, as the last one made me really ill. Yes. My COVID jab is coming up. I've never had a flu jab. I think I've mentioned that before. I go on my walks every week. I feel like I'm quite weathered. I think my immune system is not too bad, but there will come a time where I go, yeah, gotta go. I know my immune system is deteriorating. So, the longer it takes for a cut to heal for a start. I love the Airwolf intro too, although I still prefer the intro to Knight Rider. Both have excellent extended versions on YouTube. Yes, I watch them regularly, matey, and all the different people that have reimagined the opening theme. But for me, Airwolf is the better of the title sequence, no doubt about it. Seeing that helicopter fly around, the missiles, the music, those shots of schematics of Airwolf that move round in angles with the center video play, and that music, oh my god, so good. Knight Rider is more just watching the car go through a desert, around roads, the heads of the stars that are in it, few scenes of Kit turbo boosting through a truck, through a wall, through a building. Yeah. I suppose it's because I'm never going to have that helicopter, and I'm never going to feel what that helicopter feels like. Cars, who knows? I might get into a Trans Am tomorrow. You don't know. I've been in a Trans Am anyway because I've been over to the States so many times. But yeah. And then you go, I love Christmas, but as the years go on, it's been so watered down by commercialism. I miss the Christmas of the 70s and 80s as they were a magical time filled with the feelings of the season. Every year we have a tradition to go around all the main garden centres to look at the Christmas decorations. Love the Gremlins trailer. Not long got this on 4K myself. A great British film to watch. Yes, just going back a little bit there. yeah, Christmas in the past to me is where I leave it. It's where my fun was. Where it is now, no. It's nothing to me now. There's no kiddies. There's no excitement. But even my mum knows every year what she's going to get because it's the thing she asks me to get her each year. So, yeah, it's lost a lot of magic for me. Secret Santas don't do anything for me either. Getting a £5 gift from somebody who doesn't know me and then getting something from me to another random person just to show how much I don't know anything about them. Nah. It's not what Christmas is about. Well, that's nice. You continue. Another recommendation this week to watch on as a TV show is The Boys Gen 5. A spin-off from The Boys, definitely worth a watch. God, it's getting so far behind watching TV stuff with all the films I've been watching recently. Okay, question for this week. Have you got any favourite Christmas episodes for your favourite TV series? There's a million made for your week. Thanks a million, sorry mate, for your weekly blogs. The best wishes to you and your mum. To go back to your question, you get, when you consider Christmas of the past, where we sat round and watched the Queen's speech and then watched a film afterwards, and then watched all of the Christmas specials of the TV shows of that year, watching comedians and impressionists and all sorts of people, you know, Morecambe and Wise, Mike Yarwood, you know, Bob Monkhouse, all of the biggies, Terry Wogan. So, yeah. Let me have a think. So, obviously, I'm going to say, as a matter of an open salve, the Only Fools and Horses Christmas specials, top notch. They didn't do too many of them in the early days. The first 4 seasons with Grandad, you know, and Grandad's brother. But there was one in the first season that was great, where they went to a nightclub at Christmas rather than spend time with their dad who can't cook, their granddad. And then, of course, the Christmas specials became a stay point. You know, there would be a Christmas special that would be about an hour and a half long. And it's how we ended the show, was over the Christmas and New Year period. The 3-part, you know, the trilogy, Batman and Robin and Time Enough at Last, is it? Or something like that. I can't remember the title. They were all shown over the Christmas period and ended the series on a lovely high note before they returned back and did some more. So always Only Fools and Horses. For a big 5, 6, 7 years of the 2000s till now, Doctor Who had just come back, and he was on Christmas Day for several years, especially around the Tennant area, David Tennant. So I can't not mention that because that is a huge thing for me. Father Ted comes to mind. Them going around, ending up trapped in the lingerie section of a department store at Christmas was hilarious. Brilliant. I can't also miss out Porridge from the 70s. They had 2 Christmas specials. One of them was the prison director being held at gunpoint by an offender in prison. And, of course, Fletcher and Godber were both in that office at that time and talked him out of it. That was just one of them. There is another one, which is an escape route involving prison hooch. That was funny. And finally, just for these ones for now, because I could read out so many. Frasier, the American TV show that I do go on about possibly a little too much, has 2 outstanding Christmas episodes. One is finding Frasier working at Christmas instead of looking after his child, who's not able to get a flight to go and see him that year, and him stumbling into a sort of a cafe homeless shelter, and they think because of his clothes that he's wearing that he's a homeless person themselves, and seeing the magic of Christmas, us opening up and giving our people who we'd never heard of before, giving them money or food or a goodwill gesture. And then the second one is sort of like a Jingle All the Way episode, which is where Freddy wants a Robo Geek Transformer toy, and Frasier wants him to become the boy that he always was, which is all about science, and wants to buy him the human brain. And I do remember that as a toy, by the way, the human brain. Not particularly great to have at Christmas. So that concludes you, my friend Denny. I hope those answers were good to you. I could go more. We may hit upon that one again sometime. So I'm just going to do a quick jump cut just to splash some water on my face, because we've reaching nearly an hour.
So we come to the last question, and it's from my mate, gaming since the 70s, Steve. We always do my salute to Steve. Steve, you bastard. Yeah, you're so good. And he says, "Hi Dale, please forgive me if this is a shorter comment this time. I'm having a total shit of a week and I'm so weary and tired. Sorry to hear that, mate. I have heard and I wish you well. Great blog as usual, and thanks for answering my question so well. By the way, the copper in Sykes was called Drake Gala and was called Corky. That's right, Corky. I remember Corky. Can't pronounce his name though. The actor was famous for playing the washboard, which I'm happy to say I saw him play live once when they had Sykes live here in Blackpool sometime in the early 80s. Sykes ran from 72 to 79, 7 series. Yes, I mentioned that it was a long-running series, and I did watch it. Hattie Jakes, you don't mention too much, but she was brilliant in it. Okay, just one question for you this time, mate. Do you have any favourite actors who mainly played bit parts and never got the fame they deserved? I do, and he was called Alan Cuthbertson. Alan Cuthbertson. Oh, yeah. Usually played stiff upper lip parts, army parts, always some sort of like sergeant. I can see him now. Can't describe him, but I know you mean. Yeah. You probably know him, but I thought he was superb. He had parts in all sorts, from the Guns of Navarone to Fawlty Towers to the Avengers, the Champions, Danger Man, the Persuaders, and even my all-time fave, UFO. Take care, mate, and love to your mum. Yes, like I said, war films and war characters I remember him most. But you're quite right, yes. Fawlty Towers, I remember that. Yeah. And yeah, underrated. I see where you're coming from when it comes to underrated. Take care, mate, and love to your mum. But your question, ooh. There's probably so many British ones because you saw so many in our sitcoms, and then you saw them in films only in British films and never really hitting the American market. What comes to mind then? I'll name one American actor that always comes to mind when people talk underrated, and that's Sam Rockwell. I don't know if you know him. He was in The Moon and Green Mile. He played such powerful roles in those films, and yet you don't see him in many films anymore. I think the 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri was the last one I saw him in. And I do remember seeing him in a couple of TV shows as guests, but nothing. It's one of those ones where, well, he's not a Sylvester Stallone or a Schwarzenegger or a Harrison Ford or any of those. Do you know what I mean? That you just instantly go, yeah, these have got careers. This guy did some top films, but you never saw him much in anything else close by or after.
Jim Broadbent always comes to mind. Now, Jim Broadbent was Slater in Only Fools and Horses, and he's turned up in a number of films like Harry Potter. He was in a TV. He was in a film I watched even this week on Monday, Gangs of New York, a Scorsese film with Leonardo DiCaprio, and what a class performance he did in that. And of course, he's been in Harry Potter. But when you think about his career, you don't think too much about the films, just the TV stuff. And again, I could probably say the same about Roy Kinnear, who, you know, I was recently having a chat with Rock God, and I was saying, yeah, Roy Kinnear was the plumber for George in Man About the House and in George and Mildred. And you really rarely speak about him these days because he's been dead a long time, but you know, rarely speak about his film career. And then I suppose one that really comes to mind is Mark Addy, who was in the Full Monty. He did an exceptional performance in Game of Thrones. Last year he was in a mini-series called The Rig, which was a supernatural film on a rig that was being disbanded, and and it was under pressure of being destroyed by the waves. And he was also in a Doctor Who episode. But then, what's he done film-wise much? He was this big character that was up and coming, and nothing ever became of it. So an interesting question. Thank you so much. I hope that was a good enough answer for you. Those are the ones that come to mind for me. And we now must move on a little bit because we're going to get to what I've watched on YouTube, which, please remind yourself, although you're supposed to think of this as Sunday, it is Saturday. And I turned on my machine and I watched on YouTube. And this week in Retro and Tech Moan, only one of them actually had something to watch. So this week in Retro was nothing. And Tech Moan had nothing last week, had something this week, thank God. And this time it was the in-flight audio player that you listen to on your armchair of a flight on most Airbuses, Airbus 320s, I think. They were mostly used by My Travel, which Thomas Cook bought during the collapse of the airline and the airline crisis. Interesting take, because the player is not like a Walkman player. It's a special player. It only played one side of the tapes. It had the ability to play 4 independent tracks on one tape. It never played the other side, so it didn't have a reverse head. It had no forwarding capability, so it could only rewind. So basically, where you would have both sides of a tape and it would play both sides, you had to have this tape twice, and it played one side and the other one played the other. So while the other side is playing, the other one's rewinding, and vice versa. And there were 4 tracks, so you could choose between 12 tapes on any occasion through this player, through the armrest. And I remember those armrests with jack sockets and the headsets that you purchased on board, unless you brought your own on. So that was very interesting. And then, of course, just as the charity stream is coming up, RMC did an impact of gremlin graphics on the software industry in the 80s, which was very interesting. And we've got loads of guest stars on this charity stream. So you're going to get a wealth of knowledge, but that's still one to look out for. And then LFC Gamer and Vlogs did his blog. I love his blog. He does it each week. He also gave his passing of Matthew Perry this week. Answered my question on Halloween games and films he watched around Halloween. I always think that I word my questions wrong, because I never want to imply, do you just watch horror on that day? Horror is not a seasonable thing. Christmas is seasonable. Horror is not. We just have a Halloween day. You know what I mean? But it was a great answer to my question, and he showed his pickups. And then we've got Slay Radio. Now, I'm a big fan of Back in Time, the Commodore 64 CDs that came out from Chris Abbott, who I met at the Zap event. He was advertising the fact that over the next 3 days, so today is the second day, there is a stream on YouTube and Twitch of Commodore 64 and Amiga music. And I started to listen to that last night while I was prepping my blog and was having a great time listening to that music. My God, it was the music that should have been played at the Zap event, take it like that. And then we've got my other friends that from the film side of things. We've got Rock God. He's done the 5 films he watched at Halloween, which there was one surprise in there. So that was great. I know him and I talked to him a lot, so the others weren't so much of a surprise. So that was great. He did a unboxing of his Creep Show, which he's finally got on 4K. So happy for him. It's one of his favorite films, and he knows that it's definitely one of mine, having it all the way from VHS and Laserdisc now. And he did a Megan unboxing. Megan is the new film that is a bit like Chucky. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Then we've got Jake Talks Movies. He did his collection update of stuff that he'd bought in the last 4 weeks, which was brilliant. Did you see that? Did his last live, or should I say last chat on a regular basis, because he used to do it every Thursday. He's now cutting back on that and doing more reviews. And I was invited on for the last part with my friends, and that was brilliant. I just had a great time there. Always great to collab with him and Rock God. Speaking to Scott as always. Andy, who's got his own channel and is so knowledgeable on his films. All great guys. Fantastic to talk to. We answered some interesting questions. Had a ball. Best stream I've been on for a long time. And the only one that comes close, I think, is when I've been on Scott's in the last couple of weeks, and Pete from weeks and weeks ago. I've been on other streams and they've been wonderful. Especially Jake, who's always a big supporter of mine, and he asks me such questions in regards to steelbooks to buy. Then Playtendo Guy, who I said always has a chat, he did a review of The Exorcist 2, and he did a video review because it was his homework from one of the chats. And that was very entertaining because we all told him how bad that film was, and he basically said, I'll watch it myself and make my own decision. And he came away, and the swearing on how bad that film was so laughable. It's just brilliant. And of course, did you see that? Not only did his final wrap-up chat on Thursday, he did a couple of reviews. Cocaine Cougar was one, which takes me back to Cocaine Grizzly, I think it was called, Cocaine Bear or something, which was last year, where a bear sniffs cocaine and starts attacking everybody in the woods. This one this time is a cougar. And he did a review of an old film that I saw many years ago, Rosemary's Baby. A film that I really rarely watch. It's one of those films you'll watch and then not go back to for about 5 or so years. But saying that, it's a fantastic film. It's a must watch. It's not one of those biggies, you know what I mean, that you watch every year or come back to. And that's what I watched on YouTube. And then we get to your stuff, and again, less output this week. Don't know what's going on, but the ones that stand out are Down the Rabbit Hole. He did a reminisce of a game called Atari called iRobot, which Mainmaster and I have both played and streamed, and we both find it a weird game, not really for the arcades, but a great game. And he also did a funny snippet where Amazon had sent him a gift catalogue, and he was saying that he definitely feels that he's growing into his dad because he felt so grumpy reading it. Why this faceless magazine came through that was not for anybody, but it had his name on it, and it was just trying to entice him to buy more goods. Yes, Amazon, we buy an awful lot from you, We don't really need that. Gaming since the 70s next. And Steve, and as I mentioned before, he's not been very well, but he did a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom first play, which was very enjoyable. He did Halloween arcade horror games that he's played over the years, and a collection of relaxing games. Now, he did one today as well, which I haven't watched yet because it's literally come out just before I was recording this, and it was about best typing games. Now, I did scan through it, and it didn't seem to have anything about the typing game, but then again, I haven't watched it all the way through. It was more a magazine read through, and I've seen many magazine read throughs, and I've usually got some great enjoyment out of it, so I'm quite looking forward to watching that at the end of this. So thank you so much, Steve. I'm hoping there is that typing game, but I don't know. But when I skimmed through it, it was your magazine. So, don't know. Robert's Retro Gaming continues his Minecraft. I think he's back from his holiday now. He did a few more Atari 8-bit games. Clowns and Balloons, which is a really old one, which I remember playing. Popeye on the 2600, and a game called Creep, which I just about remember, but I haven't played very much. So it was nice to look back really at Clowns and Balloons and Popeye from my perspective, because I'm an old fuddy-duddy. Definitely watch his channel. A stay point of my week, every week. Seb's Place, and I've told you, he's come on in leaps and bounds. My God, he's now a must. So what did he do this week? He bought his first Commodore 64. He actually took it to bits, cleaned it, retro-brighted it, bought himself a power pack, bought himself a cartridge-based system that allows him to play the games through an SD card, and went back to Whizball, playing it on a proper controller this time, which was a Kempston Pro. And if you think about that, all of those things are in that video, and every single second of it was mesmerizing. And what I didn't know was, although I did know that it was going to be in somewhere, he asked me to read out a piece of text and record it and send it to him. So I'm in it. So my voice is reading out at the very beginning his previous attempt at playing Whizball and what some reader or watcher had written about it. And he asked my good friend Denny to do it as well. Denny is so great. His voice, it's like watching That's Life with Esther Ranson. Now, that's bringing back a memory to me. Look that up. That's Life. My God. Anyway, Mainmeister, what can we say about Mainmeister? I've been with him all this week. We're working on the charity stream, but he did do a short Friday waffle, and he did a nice and nasty with his friend Jamie Maxwell, which is an interesting listen. And then how can I miss 20th Century Gaming? His alerts have started to come back to me. Unfortunately, they were at times where I was talking to Mainmeister about the charity streams, but he did do some on Alligator Games, and he did a one life attempt at completing Monty on the Run, which was, oh my God, riveting. And that's the end. That is absolutely everything other than what I bought this week. And the biggest thing I bought this week is the replacement to this guy. My VR headset, which was the Oculus 2, which I mentioned before, I used for watching films. And as you can see, it's still a lovely piece of kit. It's quite small when you consider how big VR headsets have been through the years. Very faceless, quite thick, but back then when I looked at it, it didn't seem that bad. And now the new one arrived in a very, very small box for the money that you pay for these things. The controllers have changed because they no longer have these halos, because the tracking is so much good. If you look, there's a light on that there, and that's what it tracks. I can't show you what the new controllers are like, but they're just like those without the halo. And this is the new headset. And you can see instantly how slim it is compared to the other. So look at the bulk on that one to this one. So much slimmer. And of course, much higher technology in the new one. The biggest change that you can see in cosmetically is it's got 3 cameras at the front, and that's because it uses the new methods of having real graphics with real world environments, which means it's got color cameras now on the front. 2 of them, quite high megapixel rate, and the center one is a depth of field, a very important lens on this. Because now depth of field is started to be used for when you're using mixed reality. That's what it was called, mixed reality. It's now got an IP adjuster in a dial. Before, the lenses inside here had to be shifted left to right. Can't see very well in there, but you shifted them left or right to space out your eyes. Now you've got a wheel to adjust it, and it gives you a number. And you can download an app and get the exact IP number for your eyes, so it's perfect. And you can move this spacer out so it's further away for your glasses. And the resolution on this has now changed to a 30% higher resolution, pretty high. And the field of vision has been increased by by 10 or 15%. So the immersion is so much better. And they've got rid of the pancake lenses. They're now proper LEDs with proper lenses in front without the little rings that you could see on the old ones. They're just perfect see-through lenses, which boosts that resolution no end. But the sad part of it is the price for all of that new technology, because it's using a Snapdragon Gen 2 Plus inside it, which is the newest Snapdragon. They've increased the space on the hard drive, which obviously again bumps up the price. The color cameras will bump up the price, and yet they still are not using OLED lenses. It's LED, which means that the blacks are more grays. So it seems like a 2 step forward, 1 step back when you consider the price point. I'm amazed by it. I love it at the moment. There's going to be firmware updates. There were firmware updates all the way through the life up to even now of the Oculus 2. So I know full well that depth of field camera, all of those small little problems are just going to go away. It will be the best that it can be with the technology in it. And then hopefully they will move to OLED next time. But what have I bought this week? So we'll move to the other camera. It's getting dark now. Don't know if you noticed. Hopefully this camera will pick it up. But you've got Megan, which I told you that Rock God did a thing on it. Look, it's a lenticular cover. Definitely worth watching, that one. My favourite one of my favourite Christmas films, Scrooge, has now got a 4K release. So excited to watch that in a couple of months. Another copy of June, steelbook, slightly different cover, cheaper price. Happy on that one. This took 4 weeks to arrive. House of Wax, an old 1950s horror film in 3D in Blu-ray. Really looking forward to that one. In fact, that's probably one of the most exciting releases I'm looking forward to, because I'm just an old fuddy-duddy. Ginger Snaps is a recommendation by my friend Rock God. It is the trilogy, so I've got all 3 in a lovely box. It's hard coated. It's really, really quite good. 2 versions of the same film in steelbook. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. There's the first cover. Quite nice, shiny. The J card is equally nice on the back. And the second one is a pure red version of it. I couldn't decide which one I liked the most, so I got both. And then the most exciting thing that has taken a year to get to me is the very, very large and special edition of Leon the Professional. I don't know if I can get that in sight very well, but it's a lush box, limited in numbers. It's got the card on the back, which is the authenticity. The numbering system is 531 of 1,200 made. And inside here there is art prints, art cards, the film, lots of extras, and to be quite honest, that's now one of the staple of my collection. And we now move to media, and while the media is on, I will turn the light on, so we will turn to media playback now, and I will then shut up and you can watch some of the trailers, and while I'm doing that, I'll turn the light on and watch it with you. So just bear with me, because believe it or not, I started this at 2 o'clock and it's now 4:40. So here we go. I will turn the mic off, and I hope you enjoy these trailers of films I've bought this week and watched this week.
This is a very exciting time for your sister. Boys, her body, trying to fit in.
Don't wuss out now.
Maybe if she felt that she could share more with you, you'd both be a lot happier.
Too much blood. Just do it. Wrists are for girls. I'm slitting my throat.
High school, just a mindless little breeder's machine. Total hormonal toilet.
Our little girl's a young bum bum. You're so dead.
Out by 16 or dead in the scene, put together forever. Don't ever touch my sister again. Want me to kill her? I'll kill her for you, dude.
If I start learning about PMS, just shoot me, okay?
Fitz, I think we should get together.
No.
Don't need protection.
Everyone seems to panic their first time.
Whoa. Also, it's all normal. No way.
What happened? Something is definitely wrong with you. How do you feel?
Wicked.
It's like an infection. Works from the inside out.
Forget the Hollywood rules.
Oh my god. You need to get this fixed.
You like it?
It feels so
Good. We're almost not even related anymore. I feel like I could do just about anything.
The House of Wax, the ultimate dimension in terror, comes to the screen in Stereovision 3D. Vincent Price, at his diabolical best, will take you room by terrible room on a journey to the ultimate chamber of horrors. Stereovision 3D will synthesize before your eyes the terrifying reality of it all. In Stereovision 3D, House of Wax.
Our lives are the sum of our choices. And we cannot escape the past. Ethan, This mission of yours is gonna cost you dearly.
The world is changing. Truth is vanishing. War is coming.
It's been a long time, friend. You've no idea the power I represent. It knows your story and how it ends.
Listen to me. The world's coming after you.
His fate is written. Shall we write yours too?
If anything happens to them, there's no place that I won't go to kill you. That is written.
Ethan, what's your objective? What's your ultimate objective?
Your life will always matter more to me than my own.
None of our lives can matter more than this mission.
I don't accept that.
Are you free Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm free Tuesday.
I'll call you back.
Shut the goddamn door!
Please open the door.
If you couldn't stand them, why are you crying?
Because they killed my brother.
How about this? I work for you. In exchange, you teach me how to clean.
I know she's young, but she learns fast.
Before, please.
No. Never take it off until the last minute. It reflects light.
Man, all we do is work. We need a break. Let's play a game.
Ow!
Kind of
Like
thing.
a virgin. Ow! Touched for the very first time.
Leon, I think I'm kind of falling in love with you.
Yeah.
Does paying rent here mean I have to put up with you guys?
No.
So go play somewhere else. I need to think.
Benny, there are 3 kids here. I think Stan killed this girl. And Willie, that asshole, shot the little boy. The 3rd one's missing.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
I like these calm little moments before the storm. It reminds me of Beethoven.
You know why you're on trial here?
You all right?
I was until I saw that.
Martin's dead.
Bob is dead. Jesus is dead. They tried it peacefully. We gonna try something else.
These rebels without a job,
they're a threat to national security.
This revolution, we may have to hurt somebody's feelings.
Get on the street! Get on the street!
When you came to Chicago, were you hoping to draw the police into a confrontation? I'm concerned you have to think about it.
Give me a moment, would you, friend? I've never been on trial for my thoughts before.
And there we go. And that last one, the trial of the Chicago 7, was something that I watched last night that was recommended to me. And I was mesmerized all the way through it. It's a couple of years old now. Definitely worth and recommend watching that. And that's the end of the blog. Much shorter. Obviously, things return to normal next week. Looking forward to next week, therefore. And listening and to what you guys think, what you guys are up to, all that sort of stuff. And of course, you'll get my normal stellar performance and even more tomorrow in the stream. Please remember the charity stream. Please, if you can, give generously. It is for a good cause. 12 hours. I'm excited and scared at the same time. There's still work for me to do tonight, so I'll be doing that through the night, trying to get an early night for tomorrow. Fingers crossed it all goes well, and thank you for watching this. It really is appreciated, you spending your time just hearing what's happened to me this week, and hopefully you got some good stuff out of the films. Definitely some of those are worth an investment in if you're a collector, and if you're not, definitely watch the films. They're made for us as entertainment. And with that, I'm going to say salute. Thank you so much, and see you next week. Bye-bye.